In the first test at Nutfield, the Generals led their troops onto the battlefield and it was Captain Smith who led the first charge for the North. Dazzling debutants and vaunted veterans alike fought tooth and nail, but Sharif's late counter-offensive failed its mission and the North were singing Jeevan's tune. On to Horsham, can the South rise again? It's runs and it's wickets, if you don't like it you can stick it, it's backyard cricket.
Hello, and welcome to a new venue for backyard cricket, Horsham in Sussex, for the second test of 2022-23 between BCE North and BCE South. This is a coated marble surface. We expect it to play with a lot of pace. It's a lovely new venue, lovely part of the world. We're delighted to be here for this game, and it looks as though we're in for a treat. So, as you saw at the intro there, a reminder of what happened in the first test. It was BCE North who won that game by an emphatic margin, 114 runs, led by the captain Alex Smith, and a complete bowling performance as well. And in terms of the series, it leaves them 1-0 up with 2 to play. And we're going to go down now to the toss between Alex Smith and the South captain, Yusuf Sharif.
Yusuf to call.
Heads.
Heads is a call. And it is a heads.
I'll choose to bat first.
Choose to bat? Okay. What's your thought process on batting first?
Thought process on batting first is that no team's been able to chase whilst bowling first. I think looks like a good pitch to bat on. Put pressure on the team early.
Well, this is the hand he's been dealt, Yusuf Sharif. A lot of players missing, lots of inexperience, and we're going to target particularly Yusuf Sharif as our player to watch today, carrying a huge burden with bat, ball and captain. An opposite number, North captain Alex Smith.
Alex, bad toss to lose, or were you going to do that?
Not ideal, but it's something a little bit different. New challenge, we're looking forward to it. I think we've got a good side out, some really important players back today, so we're not fearful of it. We'll give it our best shot, and should be a new challenge, should be fun. Looking forward to it.
And this is the team that Smith has got on the park. It looks a very, very strong lineup, strong core of players there. And as one to watch, who else is it going to be but Rob Maguire, the returning superstar, missed the first test. And it is now time to get underway. Let's go to Horsham for the second test match. Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, one and all, and welcome to a brand new venue for Backyard Cricket England. This is the Horsham Sports Complex in Sussex, and we're delighted to be here for what should be a fascinating test match, the second test of 2022 between BCE North and BCE South. And the South have won the toss and their captain Yusuf Sharif has chosen to bat. And it is the captain himself who's going to be opening up for them as per usual, one of the most consistent players in backyard cricket and looking to make his mark again after a 50 in the first test. And he's joined by Kamesh Pasamarthi, debuted in the first test at Nutfield. And I'm delighted to say, as Dan Mears gets ready to open up for the North, that for the first time in 3 years, the production team have finally given me the guest commentator I've been asking for. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the South bowler, one of a kind and a backyard cricketing legend, Mr. Jake Butler. Jake, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome, mate. Let the fireworks commence, I guess.
And they certainly do, and it starts with a boundary. Mears drifting too close to leg stump, bit of a loose nut, and Yusuf Sharif never going to miss out in that area. And Jake, the South won the toss, your side. Obviously you're not playing in this test match, but they've chosen to bat. And Singh will keep us going again now. And that's hammered for 4 down the ground. Bit of bottom hand in that. Powered through the leg side. Good start for your boys so far, Jake.
That's the Singh I know and love.
Yeah, that's the Mr. Singh we're all used to. Didn't want to say it first
Here
time.
he is.
It's well played from Pasamarthi. Positive start. Boundary for each of these two batsmen already. And that's a better delivery, but fuller that time. Touch of in-swing there as well. Good from Jeevan Singh. That's more the length he needs to be looking at. And for you, Jake, opening the bowling, starting off the test match, where are you generally looking to bowl at opening batsmen who are just getting used to conditions in the pitch? Oh, he's bowled him.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, knocked him over.
Just there is where I'm looking at bowling.
Around about there, you think?
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to Jake Butler in a moment, but that's a cracking start for the North. Jeevan Singh has knocked him over. Little touch of in-swing, again targeting the top of that off stump. Passamarthy is gone for 4, and it is 10 for 1.
And he comes through so fast. He said, if the bowler can shield what side of the ball as he's holding it.
Well, it doesn't look as though Jithin Kolar had any trouble picking the swing up on that one. That's hammered down the ground for another boundary. Good start for him. Yeah, nicely played. Again, very top-handed, that stroke. Bottom hand off the bat. Power through it. 14 for 1. They've scored quickly, but the early wicket is a dampener. And we will just mention again for you, the South are playing with one less player as that over ends. It's 14 for 1. The South, only 5 players available for this game, so they will have a last man standing. The North will not, as they have 6 in their side today. And it is Rob Maguire. How good to have him back. His first delivery of the series, and it's been flicked away for 4. You love to see it, Jake.
Oh, you do, especially off. We call him Squeaky in the team, but he's a
because of his deep voice.
Oh, he sounds like a dog toy when he gets angry, doesn't he? He's
What does he sound like when he's not angry exactly?
Oh, like a cat toy, I suppose.
Wouldn't know, he's always angry. Maguire in again, and that's a good delivery, good follow up. That's flush on the toe, a bit Butler-esque, that delivery from Maguire. But joking aside, it is great to have Rob Maguire back in this series. He has been a fantastic player, and that's a good nut as well. What do you think his biggest strength is? He really has been one of the stars in the last few years of backyard cricket.
Biggest strength? It's just overall speed with his speed and accuracy.
He doesn't often take a while to get going. That's one thing with Rob. He doesn't need 2 or 3 deliveries to get into his stride. He can just hit the money straight away.
Maybe little man syndrome his whole life, which is really coming out in his bowling nowadays. It's hard to tell, you know. He's a tough shell to crack sometimes, but it is, speaking from experience, when he's bowling and you're at the stumps, it's not generally a pleasant experience, I'd say.
Nah, he is very dangerous, and it's not
even more so after this when he hears this commentary.
I think he's going to be dangerous off the pitch as well.
A few very short ones straight to my head, I would have thought, but I can't wait.
I think the key with he's knocked him over. Just as we're talking about Rob Maguire's strengths, he's into the series with a bang. Jithin Kolar on debut. Well, it is that pace. It looks like he was beaten for speed there. Didn't get the bat down in time. It's a bit of a hack, no footwork. Brilliant from Rob Maguire. And this is now turning into a fantastic start for the North. 19 for 2, and Maguire on the board early. And it is going to be talk of the devil. It is Ricky Borrett himself. Now, this is somebody that you have faced a lot in the past, Jake. And your record, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, your record against Jake is against Ricky Borrett is actually very good. He's only ever dismissed you once in backyard cricket.
That's what's getting his head tonight.
But what do you find challenging with him? The length he bowls sometimes can be difficult to score off, even if not always threatening.
I just feel like I can read him like a book, to be quite honest with you. You can always see when Ricky's putting in a shot ball because he does a little smile and he has a little extra jig in him. I can't quite put my finger on it, but and he gives you a little look in the eye, and as he looks at you, you go, you know this one's coming from my forehead. And you watch him pitch it as he pitches it in, about 2 foot in front of his own feet. You just simply duck and it goes flying over your head. And if you've got a good umpire on side, you get a nice wide as well. That's the dream, really. But
Jake Sachin Butler breaking down the big issues of batting for us.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair to the guy, he's had a lot of back troubles over the years, and you know he's doing well. He's doing well. I mean,
knocked him over. That's the wicket. First ball. Well,
well, there you go.
Evidence as we say it. Jake Butler just singing the captain's praises as he rightly should, and it's a fantastic delivery first up. In swinging Yorker, clips the off stump. That's one of yours, that Jakey.
Straight from the book. Straight from the book.
I think someone's been taking tips from watching you, and that is a duck on debut for Adil Jaffrey.
A lovely little duck logo you have there as well. That's really brings it.
Really rubs it in.
Is that a new feature on this?
It is a new feature. It's something I feel that batsmen would really want to see when they're watching this back.
Well, we're just short of the duck bell and have the full. It does move very late, and different people seem to move at different times for them.
Rob Maguire and his brother. Oh, and he's knocked him over. First ball at his brother.
And you see,
oh no!
And that's that adjusting swing I was talking about there.
It certainly is. That has moved in late.
Different people, and it just sometimes it gets moved last minute, nip in.
Well, you'd have to say, for his second delivery, I'm not sure what James Maguire is thinking coming down the wicket to Rob Maguire there.
Well, that's a proper rivalry, I would say.
Could be the sibling rivalry, but it's a good nut from Rob Maguire. And we mentioned in his last over, he very rarely needs even a delivery or two to find his mark. And he's found it spot on there.
I mean, especially his brother's mark, to be fair.
And it is a tragedy for James Maguire. Second delivery, gone for a duck at the hands of his brother.
He'll be back sharpening his knives now, won't he?
I think there's going to be some domestic going on tonight, and Maguire in again. That's a good nut, but Sharif takes the bye, and he is the last man standing now. We mentioned earlier, only 5 players available for the South for this game because of flaky, disinterested players such as Jake Butler, who couldn't make the effort to turn up today. So they are batting with the last man standing. Maguire sends it down leg.
Yeah, well, your dad's only 60 twice, isn't he? So,
Well, Rob Maguire is back and he looks at his best, and we're going to have a look at how it's his action that makes him such an effective in-swing bowler. There's a misconception about Rob that his pace comes from his shoulders. It doesn't. That's an illusion caused by the power he generates from his toes and into his right hip. When he gets into his gather, there's not much of a leap, and this looks like quite an uncouth position. You don't think there's a lot of pace coming here, but keep an eye on the right hip. It's going to get right up and over the ball. As all his body weight moves to the left, his hip is what keeps him straight and creates an opposite force towards the leg side. And you see it here, frame by frame. This next frame is the key one. Look how high he's got on his hip. It's well over his left hip. And this creates counteracting forces. All of his body is telling that ball to go to the left. All of his momentum goes to the left, but the swing of his arm and the power of his hips pushes it forward and pushes it down leg. And this is what's important, because this means it's going to swing late. The ball keeps its path for about 3/4 of the way down the wicket as those two forces counteract each other, and then eventually the in-swing takes over from the position of the seam and the power of the hip. And that's what makes him so deadly. It's that late movement in that you just... very difficult to play at that pace. And if you think you've seen that action before, if that looks somewhat familiar, we might be able to remind you where you may have seen that. And it's this man, the great South African, Micaiah Ntini. Very, very similar. Ntini, a bit more action in the run-up, a bit more limbs flying everywhere, but they're both short, skiddy fast bowlers. And again, we see here Ntini's hip doing all the work. Is well above his left hip, all his body weight moving to the left, but then that counteracting force to the right creates that late in swing. And on this occasion in 2004, it's England's Steve Harmison who's the unfortunate victim. And we're just going to run these deliveries back to back at full speed so you can see the similarity again. Rob Maguire to the debutant Jithin Kolar, arcing back in late, and Ntini to Harmison. And we're just going to finish that point by showing you a split screen of the two. Very similar. They both get into quite unnatural positions, but it's those positions that make them such deadly in-swing bowlers.
Well, I get to see the ball with the bat in this. I mean, it's very.
That's nicely
very
played.
rare,
4 from Sharif. Well played. Well controlled.
It's a rare appearance. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's a nice shot. That plays that shot well. Yeah, and Rob Maguire is certainly not 20.
The equivalent of this with the short wicket, you know, is
It's a good shot again. Another boundary for Yusuf Sharif. Just starting to move this on a little bit. Race to 43 now. It was 25 when the last wicket fell, and that's a good shot. Played into the ground. Nicely done. And looking to correct himself. That's not a bad follow-up. Don't think he's edged it. I think he's asking for an LBW, but just a reminder again of the rules. LBWs only apply if you're not playing a shot. So no chance of Yusuf Sharif being dismissed there. But a decent recovery from Saeed. He's bowled okay today on debut, Jake.
Yeah, and I just noticed that ball there is he hasn't used a swing there, so maybe that's what caught the batsman out there.
Looked more like a cutter, didn't it?
You could see as the ball was spinning. You know, I think he's you would say cross seam in conventional cricket, but he hasn't used his swing at the ball. Whereas half the ball's taped, obviously he hasn't used one side of it taped. You know, he's bowled it down with no swing, which can also be as good as a swing ball, you know, because you're expecting it to swing so much. So,
and a lovely shot from Yusuf Sharif to conclude that over through the leg side for 4. He is starting to look good now, but it's interesting you mentioned bowling with the cross seam, as it were, with this ball, because from a batsman's point of view, that would come with the danger of some variable bounce. If it lands purely on the tennis ball side, that ball is going to spring up, whereas on the tape side, it could keep down. So it is interesting. We haven't seen a lot of that in backyard cricket. So interesting new development from Ash Saeed to bring to the game, and Smith in again, and again too far outside off stump. Struggled a bit since taking a wicket with his first ball. Well, this is unnecessary. Going to get overthrows for this. It was sloppy from Maguire and from Smith, as he's ended up with an all-run 4 there, Yusuf Sharif.
That's good from Yusuf there, good awareness.
Yeah, he's one of the only players who's really capable of running a 4 like that, because a lot of players switch off when they've run the first one.
And some are just incapable of running 4 runs to start with, you know?
Also that, yeah. And that's going to be 4 as well, I think. Yeah, clip that into the leg side. I think that one was an inside edge. Didn't look as convincing, and Ricky Borrett has let it go straight through him. Arms folded. Probably blaming Liberals, you would think, at square leg.
Oh, I mean, yeah. That's as far left as Ricky's ever been.
Oh, that's a good delivery. Good follow-up. Bit of movement there. This ball is coming up to being 12 overs old, but still moving. We mentioned earlier the ball can get cut up and wear off, but it is still doing a bit for them here. But Sharif countering with some positivity. He's raced to 30, almost unnoticed. And he's going to be 34. Lovely shot. Can't bowl full on his legs. He's so good, scores most of his runs in that area. Where do they need to adjust here, Jake? Where would you be looking to bowl if you were bowling at Yusuf Sharif? We've almost forgotten to pay attention to 3 good deliveries from Dan Mears so far. Kept a tight line, and that's not so good, and that's 4 or 6, do we think? It looks like it's gone all the way. 6 runs, first 6 of the game. And it's Yusuf Sharif, raced to 40 here. Not sure he's got all of that. Well, it's come out the middle, but he's almost held back on it a little bit, more like a chip than an actual smash.
Could be down Sparrow's Den, couldn't we?
Could be down Sparrow's Den.
Nice
Absolutely.
Putt, you know?
Oh, that's a great follow-up. That's an absolute cracker from Dan Mears. And it looks like Smith turns now to Rob Maguire, who I think it's fair to say probably, or clearly, the pick of the bowlers today.
Yeah, you can't disagree with that.
You'd have to hope he's not listening, because you wouldn't want to say that to him.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's another cracker, to be fair.
I mean, recently married, and his brother, who's actually playing, James Maguire, was best man, and I don't even think he was as complimentary as that towards him on these days.
And I think it's certainly fair to say that if Rob was getting married after this game, I don't think Jimmy would be agreeing to be best man after his first baller. Get the wedding out of the way before the cricket starts.
Yeah,
very clever from Rob Maguire. He's a smart
Rob
cookie.
Been holding back, you know. He's not as stupid as he looks, you know.
Well, nobody is. That's another great nut from him. Apologies, Rob, if you're listening. 70 for 4 in again. It's another good nut, left alone from Sharif. Little battle developing between these two. Class performers, class all-rounders, and so far Sharif winning the battle. And right in behind that again, Maguire.
Yeah, he's solid as a rock, Sharif, and he
excellent defence.
Needs to be, he's very good at staying there. Very
one
good.
of them kind of players. If you could pick a player to block the last over for your life, he wouldn't be far off the top of that list. But that's another ripper from Rob Maguire. Absolute
anyone
ripper.
above him?
For me, possibly James Crowther. Also can really dig in. We've seen that. That's a good nut that from Maguire. But James Crowther, also solid technique, difficult to get out when he doesn't want to. Yeah. Would that be fair? What about you?
I mean, it depends on the tracksuit bottoms, doesn't it? I mean, people can turn up in all variety of clothes for this game. So, Naveed Saeed is, I've bowled against him before, and in 2 overs you could have 13 LBWs. It's not relevant in this game, and it is extremely
frustrating. Knocked him over, and that's the end of the innings. Borrett makes the breakthrough, cleaned him up, leg stump. Apologies for cutting you off there, Jake, but that is the end of the innings. Sharif has gone wandering and Borrett's knocked him over. That was a good hand from Yusuf Sharif. He's given them something to bowl at. 70 the final total. Didn't look likely at 25 for 4.
I mean, to be fair, that's a class delivery from Ricky there.
Yeah, it's moved a lot.
Good.
Still
and
moving.
That's what I was saying earlier about the in-swing and the out-swing. Just switch it up. They're not expecting it, and it moves so much. There we go.
Yep, fantastic.
Gareths have gone flying, haven't they?
Gareths have gone flying.
There we go.
And it's been a pleasure to have Jake Butler with us. Join us again next time for the second innings. The South resting on 70. And this is the final scorecard then. Yusuf Sharif fighting a lone battle in this innings from 25 for 4 and all over the place. Excellent bowling performance from the North, and that was led by the returning Rob Maguire, who was outstanding, and Ricky Borrett, Alex Smith and Jeevan Singh chipping in with wickets as well. Good performance, having lost the toss. And this is where it leaves us 70 all out. So join us next time when we'll see how the North respond, and we will have Jake Butler back again for that. And we'll see you next time from Horsham.